Give thanks every time. All right, okay. Something new for today, bringing you massive value, as I would say, in a new way. It's all about Hermes today. So, everybody is busy talking about basic AI chatbots, prompt engineering, things like that. Nobody's really talking about what happens when you combine Claude Code, a live Superbase database, and the new Hermes agent desktop flight deck. In this video, I'm showing you the exact step-by-step pipeline I use to build a fully containerized, autonomous marketing research agent that doesn't just scrape the web. It logs its own historical memory to a private SQL ledger, so it gets smarter every single week. Let's look at the plumbing and the setup. So essentially, I'm setting this up first, agents for marketing systems, multiple businesses, different custom marketing systems for each business. So, definitely different agents across each system. And I'm going to learn a lot by setting up multiple agents that are customized. It's going to be a little bit different for each system, but it's going to give me a really good understanding of how to set this up in the future, how to make it better over time. And I'm just getting started. So make sure you tune into the journey as I go. So here's the flow. Here is what I have done so far today. Built the first agent. First agent is for the Stack of 8 business, the marketing system for this. And essentially, this is the path from the code to an isolated cloud agent. So essentially, Hermes, I use the desktop to chat with it. There is a cron job, which is like a automated weekly job to run this first task. So the agent will run once a week to do some research, and then I will build another agent that will do the next step of this workflow. I already set up the workflow. Now it's all about having agents run it for me, except for anything that I need to do manually to be the human in the process. And this is way better than hiring a virtual assistant. And I've learned a lot through doing this, that there's way more that I can do with what I originally thought. So there's going to be a ton of agents being set up. So, I got the research agent. This one's on Python. We got Radar and Claude, store.py, Supabase is the schema. So where I started, basically working with Claude. Claude did not understand Hermes very well. Claude Code was like, I don't know what the Hermes. I didn't even know what the Hermes desktop app was. It barely knew what Hermes was. Gemini was much more helpful. Gemini helped walk me through the parts that Claude couldn't understand. So we got the SQL migration, setting up a database from the start. Even Claude was recommending, like, don't do a database for this, just do it through the backend on the Python app. And I did my research already, and it definitely makes sense to set up a database from the start. All these agents are going to be using the same database for each different business. So doing it now will prevent a lot of headaches later, and it just makes sense for like other reasons too. So bring the database online. That was the first thing. I got and super easy, just got the migrations through Claude, how to like set up the exact database. Had to get the API keys for the database for the project. Then I validated the agent locally. I made sure that even though Hermes wasn't hooked up yet, the database was good. So I had Claude run the process that the agent would run, make sure that everything worked right with the database. This saved me, if anything, credits from, trying it out the first time through Hermes, and maybe it didn't work, but it worked the first time. Very few issues with the database steps. So I ran the research agent. It worked. And I made sure to test the learning loop. That was just through the database. So then I basically had Claude wire up the Hermes desktop agent. And this was awesome because I thought I was going to have to configure everything through basically like the Hermes desktop agent. And I didn't have to. Claude was able to set pretty much everything up that it needed to through it. So I just went on there and everything was already set correctly. And now I can just run it through the chat in the Hermes desktop agent. So like I can use Claude if I want, but it's going to be easier to run it through the Hermes desktop app and then deployment to the cloud. So basically, the main two ways you'd either want to run this are going to be on the cloud or on a local machine. Cloud is going to be much more secure. Local machine is going to come later for certain tasks that make more sense. But the cloud, each agent is going to have its own like isolated space to run what it needs to run. So if there's any issues, then it will be isolated and it can't really like corrupt the other agents or cause any problems like that. It's going to be super easy to fix if something happens. So this is all on GitHub, so it's all saved like that. And there's two different basically like options for the cloud. One of them seems to be better with what I'm doing right now, that I'm not running too many like constant jobs. It's going to be more like weekly tasks that I'm having all these different agents run. And one of them was basically cheaper, and that was Railway for what I'm doing now. But it sounds like over time I might want to switch. And definitely, if things run up cost, then that's when I know I should consider moving it to a local machine. So, had to schedule the weekly run, basically the cron job on the set schedule. Make sure all the APIs are right in the cloud so it has access to all the information it needs, and I'll have to update that over time. This first one is just doing research. Started with basically, like I said, I set up a workflow, like a weekly workflow for my marketing for this business. Started with the very first, most simple task, created an agent for it. Then I could move on to the next task and just keep repeating that process. Way better than hiring somebody. So, I'm gonna show you, let's see, Hermes agent site. There we go. So this is the Hermes agent site where you get it set up. Basically, had to download it for Windows. So that's what I used. You can download for whatever you want. Definitely this new desktop app seems like the way to go. It used to be that a lot of people were just operating it through like Telegram or their own custom chat that they made. This is what the desktop app looks like. It's very simple. Right now I just have one agent set up. Here's like an example of it using the desktop app, switching through different agents. I got the Nous Research is the company that makes Hermes Agent. I got the subscription through there. It's like $20 a month. Looks kind of like an open router. Gives me access to like pretty much all the main AI agent tools, so that I don't have to get an API for each separate agent. Depending on the agent's task, I'm going to want to have a different, a different provider, whether it's like Claude or GPT or some of the other models. So I'll figure that out over time. Here's some of the features that it has. Basically, I'm so glad I set this up. It was definitely one of the more difficult things I've done tech-wise, but I did it. And it took me, just getting this first agent set up, it took me about 5 hours. So that was no joke. But I bet you every agent after this is going to be quicker and quicker. I had Claude save the process in Claude Code for setting up this first agent. So now it knows the same process for setting up agents in the future. And one more thing I'm looking at is, from what I understand, if I want to have Claude do processes through the Hermes agent, I have to pay per token with the API cost. However, there's a way that I can hook up ChatGPT through the subscription. So I can use the Codex subscription, and I can even use a higher model like the new Codex 5.5 on high, and it'll run through my subscription, which should be much cheaper. Gemini was saying that there might be some problems with that with the database, but other research told me different. So that's going to be another thing. Let me know if you want me to make a video about that in the future. about, just using the subscription through Codex and whether I find any issues with that. But that being said, this was a long time coming. I've been doing research on this Hermes agent for about a month now. Finally got my first instance set up, my first agent, many more to go. Feeling good about it. A lot of progress. I keep making progress, staying tuned on the journey. You know, Start slow, but I'm building out systems. I'm building out businesses that are going to last over time. I'm just making progress one step at a time. And I know I'll get there. I got faith. It's all about abundance. It's all about knowing that we run this. We run the AI. AI doesn't run I. So everything is good. Everything is like it should, and it'll keep going that way. So hopefully you got some value off of what I had to say. Coming through with new information with no delay. Make sure you like, subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm coming through with new information steady. And you can even check out the link to my personal website where I've got some free guides on, just how to get started, how to take those first steps if you're new to AI, or even if you just want to know what I'm doing, like the method I'm using, it's all right there. So be aware, be conscious, be alert, know what's going on. Reality is real. Give thanks every time. Give thanks for life, health, and strength. I'm out.